Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Artie of Artie's Corporate Fiction. Happy Hump Day. Hope you guys have been having a good week. We have a relatively short, but I think very sweet reaction video for you guys tonight. We are taking a look at a certain somebody's trial. I know Law Talk with Mike have been taking a look at, and Team Skeptic have taken a look at a trial from a similar channel. And I kind of want to get into that myself, but what I found that's actually not on YouTube is that a well-known auditor that most of us here are very well known. Just to remind you guys who this auditor is.
I did not. I was getting my food out of my hand.
Oh, shit, shit.
Ouch!
Screw! Or you're going to jail!
And there was much rejoicing.
It is Mr. Breaking the Flaw that is the subject of tonight's live stream. He last December, my understanding is that he last December in Keene, New Hampshire, he ended up getting stopped by the police and received a number of citations. And we are now going to take a look at his trial. Now, what's interesting is that it wasn't it was supposed to be uploaded on about 5 minutes of it was uploaded on Free Keen's channel on YouTube, but the full trial was uploaded on Odyssey. If you don't know what Odyssey is a another video platform that's actually backed by crypto. Now I know crypto definitely has a reputation, and I'm well aware of that reputation. That's why I'm barely into crypto as it is. But I've actually been enjoying the platform. It helps as a creator. It if you guys watch, it actually earns cryptocurrency for me and you. And they don't have the same YouTube sort of content guidelines. So it's kind of like the BitChutes and the Rumbles and those alternative platforms that have the more unorthodox channels. But I actually like their platform seems far more, I guess, advanced than those other ones are. So I actually use that. So I actually am posting a link there. That's a link to my platform. Again, I earn crypto for every view I get there. It helps. It's just another way for you guys to be able to support the channel. Don't worry about it. Anyway, the full trial is available on Free Keen's Odyssey channel. So that's where we're gonna watch it here today. Again, thank you guys for dropping in. Welcome. Always appreciate y'all's support. Please hit that like button when you walk through the door. Hit that subscribe if you haven't already. Check out my Discord if you haven't joined already. That's where you're going to get all the live news and updates about the channel, myself, and everything that's going on. It's a very active community, so and that's one of the things I'm really proud of with my Discord, is that it's very active and people are always chatting, building friendships. I really appreciate that. So, all right, guys, let's get the show on the road. This trial happened on April 21st, 2022, so only a couple of weeks ago.
Sign the petition and learn more at nhexit.us.
No, I don't have a MySpace. But also, yeah, now apparently, I promise this will be my last pause for the next 10 minutes at least. But Free Keen is now trying to do their own NHexit, their own version of Brexit. They're trying to get New Hampshire to actually remove itself from the Union. Good luck with that, but that's lulls for another day.
Attorney Burke, Ms. Hart's scheduled for trial today.
Yes, I believe he's scheduled for trial on 2 matters. Keene has one, and a parking ticket, which we're ready to move forward on, and I believe Regional has another matter that's scheduled for trial today.
Okay. Good to go?
We're good to go.
I got a public defender, and it was supposed to be continued.
Actually, it probably was gonna. But I did make a promise to the defendant, if he gotten his license back, I would drop the operating after suspension charge, and I am going to do that as part of my promise to him.
Okay, so in addition to that, he was driving. He was driving on while license suspended, but it sounds like to hear that they are dropping that charge. So the current charges, I believe, are speeding, right, and driving without a license.
Can I just move that detail again to you real quick, just on how that works?
I told you, I think our conversation was, I told you if you got your license reinstated,
Okay.
that you had, that I would take that serious charge of the op after suspension and dismiss it. I think that was our conversation, and I keep my word.
Okay.
And that charge is going to go away.
I just want to make sure and make it clear that it's just,
That's all we're looking at are 2 violations. We're not looking at any misdemeanors here or anything like that. Okay?
but it would still consider to be a suspended license case, right? So would I have 2 on my record? Just want to make sure that's clear.
No, not if I dismiss it. How can it be on your
I'm
record?
just making sure because,
No. I made a promise to you,
I know you did, yeah.
and I said, if you were reinstated, and I took the time to check, and you were reinstated, and my word was that I would drop that charge prior to the trial. I have no problem doing that, and I'm going to do that today,
So
so,
can I just clarify, there's only be 1 suspension on there?
yes, because I'm dismissing this one.
Okay, just make it clear. Okay, I'll take that.
Thank you. Mr. Hart, the driving after revocation subsequent has been null process, so you won't need to deal with that today. I have a operating without a valid license complaint, and I have a 70 and a 55 speeding complaint. Are you prepared to go forward on those?
I'm not. I'm confused about all of it. I haven't seen any paperwork yet, so I just really want to see it clarified and have a public defender look at it. I've been trying to figure it out myself. I haven't been able to figure it out. So I'd like another eye on it, especially someone that knows more about it, because I cannot figure it out. The discovery is very confusing to me. And
Mr. Dudek, you were going to say something, I think? You don't have to.
I don't have to, no. And if you want to continue it, I mean, I'm set for trial, my officers are here, we can do it. I don't have a problem with it, or I can take a few minutes and see, and give them an explanation to try to clear up some of the confusion, and then we can.
He's really doing his best to, and by he I mean the DA is doing his best to be accommodating to Joe.
Here's where we are. And you have a case too, Attorney Orr?
Yes,
And your case is a expired meter?
yes.
State's ready to go forward on that? Are you ready to go forward on that case?
Yes.
Okay, hold your thought on that. And then docket number 21 CR 2306, Mr. Hart, I have a complaint that alleges 70 miles an hour to 55 mile an hour zone alleged to have occurred on December 1 of 2021. And I have a complaint that says you were operating without a valid license and that you drove a motor vehicle on December 1 of 2021 on Route 9 in the town of Nelson while not having a valid license for the vehicle being driven. Those 2 charges are scheduled for trial today as well.
yeah, I hired a public defender, and I was expecting it to be continuance today, because I've been calling the public defender. They don't really know, and I'm just not here today. But I would like that to happen, because I can't figure this out. Actually, I might have to bring up the original case, bring that back up, because I was never properly notified to begin with all the original tickets and court and suspensions.
Well, we don't have that in front of us today, but we have...
Right, that's why I need this to continue.
Sure. Well, I'll accept your oral motion to continue, but I'll deny it. We're going to go forward with the trial. Is the state ready to
So
proceed on
I
these?
don't
Well, he's fucked. He tried to get it continued, and judge is like,
have a
no.
public defender.
I just have to go to the bathroom. Yeah, I've been.
You're allowed to do that.
I don't have a public defender, though, even though I applied for it.
You don't.
Why was it denied then?
This is one's a speeding ticket, and the operating without a valid license is a violation ticket, and that's what's scheduled for trial today.
I understand, but I filed a public defender to help me with this.
You have, and you are not entitled to one.
Why? What's the reason for that?
Would you like me to answer that question? You ready?
Yeah.
You have 2 violations. They're scheduled for trial. You are not eligible for an appointment on a public defender on a violation offense, either one of them.
Okay.
So what he just told him is that he is not entitled to the public defender for violations. I can only assume that that means that, you know, there has to, well, no, not necessarily DGen. I mean, in certain states, and SCOTUS agrees that if the sentence, right, is less than a certain threshold, the right to representation does not does not stick. If you're gonna ask me what's the minimum, I don't know. I really don't. I only know the minimum of I can only know the minimum where a right to a trial is triggered when you have a potential sentence of 6 months in jail or more for the crime, but I can't recall what the minimum threshold is for your right to self-representation. I do know that in many states, like if it's for a minor traffic violation, where the potential penalty is, you know, less than a certain threshold, then it won't trigger.
Well, Mr. Dudek's out. Attorney Rourke, are you prepared to go forward on the meeting?
I am here.
You may proceed.
State.
That's what I figured. I assumed that if I was going to assume something, Crimson, as Crimson mentioned, if you're not facing jail time as the maximum penalty, then you're not going to get the public
I'd
defender.
like to call Ms. Jane McDermott.
You may.
Ms. McDermott, can you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
You can have a seat. Can you please state and spell your last name for the record?
It's Jane McDermott, McDermott.
And Ms. McDermott, are you currently employed?
Yes,
And where are you employed?
in city, like the parking department in City Hall.
Right. And how long have you been working there?
10 years.
And bringing your attention to May 7th of 2021 around 2 p.m., do you recall what you were doing then? Were you working?
Yes,
And were you working for parking enforcement?
yes.
And where were you located at that time?
I was on Central Square,
Okay. And what were you doing at Central Square?
writing parking tickets.
Okay. And around that time, did anything of interest pique your attention while you're out on Central Square?
No, just a gray Honda that needed a ticket because
Okay.
the parking meter was
That
expired.
was the gray Honda.
Yes,
All right. And where was it parked? Whereabouts on Central Square?
it was at meter 57. It's near City Hall.
Okay. And you said it caught your attention, you needed a ticket?
Yeah, the meter was expired.
Okay. And how did you know that the meter was expired?
It flashes. It flashes expired on it. Yeah.
So what did you do when you noticed that?
I proceeded to write a ticket
And put it down?
and put it on his windshield.
So after that, on a later date, on June 10th of 2021, do you recall if you were working that day?
Yes,
Do you recall being in the office at all that day?
yes.
And what were you doing in the office?
I had gone into, excuse me, I have allergies. I had gone in to see Linda in our office. She's the administrative assistant, and she got approached at the window. I just happened to see Mr. Hart at the window asking to have a court date for his ticket that he had.
Okay. So did you see Mr. Hart?
Yes.
And do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes.
And where is he sitting?
He's right there.
And can you identify the color of his shirt?
Right where? Come on, right where?
That's brown.
Let the record reflect that the witness identified the defendant as Mr. Hart.
It will, thank you.
I have no further questions.
Any questions for this morning, Mr. Hart?
Sure. Do you know how long I was there parked beyond the meter's time limit?
I have no idea, no way of knowing that.
Which is a dumb question to ask. Also, by asking that question, you kind of practically conceded that you were parked. Your car was parked beyond the time limit.
Do you know what the parking enforcement, after asking them questions on how to fight the ticket, where they sent me?
Well,
You know, like I was asking how do I fight the ticket, and you know where they sent me after that?
I don't know. I was just in the office when Linda was getting ready to call to get you a court date.
Are you aware of where they do send you, or how to process someone trying to fight a ticket?
Objection relevance.
I don't process them, so I really don't know.
Okay. Do you believe that it's reasonable to give tickets to cars? I mean, you work for the park enforcement.
It's what I'm hired to do, yes.
Do you think it's reasonable what you do?
Objection relevance.
This is irrelevant.
What's relevant to this?
I want to know if she's doing it on her moral behalf versus just doing it for a job.
Doing it.
Whether or not she thinks the law is moral is irrelevant to whether or not she issued a valid parking ticket.
On a moral behalf?
Yeah. Do you think you're doing it in a moral way?
Even she's got like, what the fuck is this guy on about? I love her. I love her expression here.
I'll sustain the objection. That's irrelevant.
Almost.
Thank you. Anything to clean up?
No, yeah.
You can stay down, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
State rest?
State restroom.
Any defense?
In my defense, I'll admit that I was over limit.
In my defense, I admit to the crime.
And I also admit that I wish not to pay for any tickets or fines or community service, or I won't be the collections agency when that goes there, and I'd be willing to take any other punishment besides those. I mean, like maybe jail time would be sufficient, as I reported to the park enforcement. I said 2 hours. I'll take 2 hours.
So he now he's trying to negotiate his sentence and saying that I would rather have jail time than pay any fines. So, which, even if the judge wanted to, you probably can't be jailed because he can't have a public defender. So there's no way the judge could even issue him jail time in lieu of a fine. It's literally impossible. A fucking idiot.
In jail rather than pay it?
Yep.
That's your proposal?
Yep.
Give me a moment. What do you do for work?
I wish not to answer that.
Yeah, I kind of want to know what he does for work too, but he ain't answering that question.
You don't have to. All right, I'm entering a guilty finding. I entered a fine of $30 from docket number 21 CR
Fine of $30.
1046.
Don't worry, man. That's like, I'm sure that you got folks that'll give you a couple super chats to pay for it. Don't worry.
You can pay that $30 at the window. And docket number 21 CR 2306. And Mr. Dudick, is the state ready to proceed for trial on those 2 remaining complaints?
We are, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
So now we're moving on to the
Sergeant Bowers to the stand.
You may.
to the speeding ticket and driving without a license.
Stay right there.
Morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
You raise your right hand. Do you affirm the information you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, under the pains and penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Please be seated and state your name and spell your last name for the record.
My name is Peter Bowers.
Oh, well, you know what? I apologize, guys. Let's go through some of the super chats before we get too far behind. Mark Jones, $2. Wee Wednesday with Artie. Thank you very much, Mark. Ed2276, thank you for the $10 super chat. Akira 808 State, thanks for the $4.99 support for your channel. Keep up the great work, Artie. Thank you very much, Akira, for your long time support. And Joshua Lee, thank you for the $10 super chat. Your Honor, I object. Your Honor, I object. On what grounds? Because it's devastating my case. Yeah. Thank you very much, Josh. We all know the reference.
My last name is spelled Bowers.
Your witness, Mr. Dudick.
Sergeant Bowers, I call your attention to the 1st of December 2021. Were you on duty at that time?
I was.
And prior to that, have you received training through New Hampshire Police Standards training with regard to radar enforcement?
Yes, I have.
And are you a certified radar operator?
Yes, I am.
And going back to the 1st of December, were you on duty that day and in what capacity?
I was on duty that day. At that point, I was a sergeant in the patrol division. I had a collateral duty as a field training officer, and I had a trainee with me on that particular day.
And what, if anything, occurred around 1,400 hours that prompted you to take some type of an enforcement action?
The trainee and I were assigned to a 2-man cruiser. He was the driver, I was the passenger. We were conducting traffic patrol on Route 9 in the area of the Nelson and Sullivan town line. There was a Honda approaching towards us on Route 9. I noticed that the Honda appeared to be traveling much faster than the 55-mile-an-hour posted limit. The trainee activated the radar in the cruiser, and I noticed the digital display on the radar gave a vehicle speed of the Honda of 70 miles an hour.
And was that a good, clear tone?
Yes, sir, it was.
And if the court would take judicial notice that Route 9 in Nelson is a public way?
I will, thank you.
Once you received that information from the radar unit, what course of action did you take?
The trainee turned the cruiser around and activated the emergency lights.
And
Well, for what objection? What emergency?
did you make a stop of that vehicle?
We did, sir.
And upon approach of that vehicle, did you have conversation with the operator of that vehicle?
The trainee had the majority of the conversation. The trainee was able to collect a driver's license and a vehicle registration.
And is that operator in the courtroom today?
He is, sir.
And he was identified by his driver's license?
He was.
Okay. And what course of action did you take at that point?
The trainee ran a license check to check the validity of the driver's license status.
Which you were observing?
Yes. The driver record revealed that the driver's license from his home state in Rhode Island and here in New Hampshire were both suspended.
And in fact, the state has no processed that particular charge this morning, is that correct?
It's my understanding, so yes.
But we're still going forward with the license required charge.
That is my belief, yes, sir.
After obtaining that information, what did you or your trainee do?
We took the driver, which is Mr. Joseph Hart, who is here in the courtroom at the defendant's table.
Thank you for that, for volunteering that. I appreciate it.
We took him into custody, and we brought him here to the circuit court for bail.
And did you engage in conversation with him prior to the arrest?
Yes.
And what was that particular conversation that you had or that your trainee had with him?
With my conversation or with the trainees?
With your conversation.
You want to say his conversation because if he tries to talk about what the trainee and Joe were talking about, that's hearsay. You'd want the trainee to be testifying as to what his conversation was with the defendant.
I was asking Mr. Hart to step out of the vehicle, and we had what I will call a brief standoff about his willingness to step out of the car.
Okay. But ultimately, he didn't. He was removed from the car.
He was.
Okay. And prior to going on duty that day, did you do a check of the radar unit to make sure it was functioning?
The trainee checks the radar daily, and I observe him to make sure he's checking it correctly.
So in fairness to him, in fairness to Joe, which I spoiler alert, he does get Joe to Joe's the trainee to testify. The testimony of Thank you, Deacon. Info on getting certified to use radar. You have to know to check with tuning forks back in the olden days. You also have to know how to lock the reading. If I was a defense lawyer, I would ask, did they tested? Well, right on, right here. We're hearing that testimony right now. And I'm about to say that because it was a trainee who tested the radar Joe should be asking the trainee to be on the stand to testify to how he handled the radar, whether or not he tested the radar, not the supervisor who didn't actually test the radar.
That the trainee did check the radars. It was working properly. We put the radar into service for that particular day.
And at some point in time, did you observe that trainee check his radar during his shift?
The radar gets checked periodically during the shift to make sure it's working correctly.
That's my question.
Yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Now, we had talked earlier about the radar certification.
Yes, we
had mentioned, can you identify that for the court, please?
Okay. These radar certs are from this one is from February 21 to 22, and this one is from March 22 to 23. And both are the radar assigned to that particular cruiser.
Objection?
My cruiser assigned.
What's the objection?
He just read off those dates just now of the paperwork when it was handed to him. And he's not doing that in his own volition. He's handed evidence to speak on.
Would you rather me read the originals that I have on file?
So let me ask this question. Let me rephrase.
I actually think that's actually not a bad objection by Joe, because the DA is giving him these papers, and he's reading off the dates, which at this point I don't think they've been entered into evidence.
Okay.
On the date that you were running that radar, the radar was in fact certified.
Yes,
As I
sir.
had asked earlier.
Yes.
And is that a copy of that radar certification for that cruiser?
Those are the radar certifications. Yes, sir.
Okay. With the inclusive dates that that radar was actually
Now the DA is doing a better job of laying more of a foundation for what the papers say.
certified to be in proper working order.
That is correct.
Okay. Stay with that note. I think we feel that we answered the objection with regard to the defense and proved that that radar was certified on the day that it was used.
Are you offering that as an exhibit?
We are. Exhibit.
Any objection to the exhibit?
I haven't seen it yet. I mean,
Now, another good point by Josh here.
We can take care of that.
I like to have this removed from evidence since I hadn't seen it until prior now. It wasn't entered into discovery, and I'd like to have it removed.
Mr. Dudek, was it provided in discovery?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
All right, I'll sustain the objection.
Bam! Josh actually gets a win here. The prosecutor failed to provide the certifications in discovery. It's a stupid ass mistake by the DA, and Josh gets a win. So now those certifications they're out.
Objection, thank you.
But this shows, I'm not sure if it was or not, Your Honor.
Joe, my bad.
It shows
Joe,
we
not
sent
Josh.
discovery on 125 of 22. So I can't say one way or the other, so at
I'll
this point.
sustain the objection, thank you.
The state would have no further questions of this witness.
Do you have any questions?
Bad form. Bad form by the DA there.
Of this gentleman?
Yes.
You may.
Did I receive a ticket that day for speeding?
Your ticket was included in your arraignment packet for the date you were set for arraignment after you were released on PR bail here at the court.
I guess that's not what I asked. Did I get a ticket that day?
No, you received a PR bail bond that day.
I guess it's yes or no at that point. Your trainee, how many times has he pulled over someone for speeding with the radar?
That particular training?
Yes.
I would have to guess.
Okay, I don't want any guesses. I want accurate answers.
Well, I mean, how is he supposed to know? I mean, can he be expected to know of how many times the trainee stopped somebody for speeding? Maybe, but off the top of his head, I don't know. Depends on how long he was with the trainee.
We could.
I do not have that specific trainee's statistics as far as how many vehicles he's pulled over in his time as a deputy sheriff.
Okay, would you say he was sufficient trained to evaluate a radar gun at that point?
A dumbass question, because what else is he going to say? He's going to say yes.
He was a certified police officer, having spent several years as a New Hampshire state trooper. So the answer to your question is yes, he was more than qualified to operate that radar.
Fucking dumbass question. Why would you?
You had said with the prosecutor that I gave a brief standoff. Can you describe what that standoff means to you?
Trainee and I both asked you to step out of the vehicle.
Yeah.
You verbally refused. You were armed with a pistol, which concerned me greatly. Ultimately, after what I'll call a negotiation, you did voluntarily step out of the car, and I placed you into handcuffs.
Do you know why I was a little hesitant? Do you remember what I said? The reason why I didn't want to just immediately exit?
I don't know your thought process. I don't know your mind, sir.
Understood. I did say something verbally, though, and do you remember what that was in regards to why I didn't want to step out?
I believe you told the trainee that you wanted to talk to a supervisor.
Regarding, do you know what it was regarding?
I do not.
How would you describe your demeanor or behavior when I was a little hesitant in exiting?
I was afraid you were going to shoot me.
So did your trainee describe to you why I didn't exit the vehicle right away?
We did not have a dialogue about that at the time because it was so dynamic.
And you're saying, go back to, you think your trainee, he went through police school and was trained to be a certified officer, and you're saying that he didn't tell you the reasons why at that point, and that you felt fearful for your life. I'm just trying to go over the details of this and understand.
So he and I did not have a discussion. We did not have time to have a discussion as to what his thought process and my process was in trying to take you into custody on the misdemeanors.
When did you discover that I had a firearm on me?
You told us at first, and then after you stepped out of the vehicle, we discovered it on your hip.
You said I told us, as in you and your trainee?
The trainee announced it back. So to be
Sorry?
very, so the trainee announced it back. You mentioned to him that you were armed with a pistol, and then he said loudly, "You're armed with a pistol," which cued to me that you were armed with a firearm.
Right. So I cued the trainee that I was armed.
And then he recited that back.
Was I still in the vehicle at the time when that happened?
Yes?
And you knew about me having a firearm, explaining to the trainee while I was still in the car?
Yes.
Okay. So
Your Honor?
I'd like a motion to dismiss
Some-
the witness for lying.
Objection.
Wait, hold on. He wants to now. Joe wants to say a motion to dismiss to claim that he was lying. Deacon, we're in New Hampshire, so open carry. I probably should have listened to this again, but I don't know. I don't see where he lied.
Hold that
Perjuring
thought.
himself?
Do you have an objection?
So Joe's claiming that the officer perjured himself, but I should have been paying attention.
I do, Your Honor. At some point here, we're talking about a speeding ticket, and we're talking about a license required, not about a gun that came up much more.
But ultimately, the DA makes the point that whether or not the cop knew about the firearm or was in fear of himself at some point in time due to the firearm is irrelevant as to whether or not he was driving, whether or not he was speeding, and whether or not he was driving without a license. So the whole issue, so the DA is going to make the argument, and I agree with him ultimately, that the issue between the Joe and the officers regarding the firearm and its existence and whether they feared it, blah, 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 it's irrelevant as to the actual issue at hand, which is whether or not he was speeding and whether or not he was driving without a license.
Much later, after the incidents that had occurred.
What's your response to that objection?
For this objection?
Yes.
I believe that the firearm was motivation to his demeanor and how they treated me afterwards, so I just wanted to...
How they treated you and their demeanor to you after the fact, after the basis for the stop, is irrelevant. That's completely irrelevant to the issue at hand, which is the two violations.
bring it up. I mean, I don't know how to explain that.
I'll overrule the objection at this point. You may proceed.
Okay.
But even then, the judge overrules the objection and throws him a bone.
So you were aware that I was carrying a firearm, and the trainee knew while I was in my car.
Correct.
So it wasn't until you had said earlier that until I got out of the car, you realized I had a gun.
You had mentioned you had a gun. I did not see your gun until you stepped out of the vehicle.
Do you remember where my gun was on my body?
It was on your hip.
Is that not open and clear?
It was on your right hip, and I couldn't see it from the driver's window.
The driver's window. Okay. So your trainee was on the passenger side at many times.
Okay, now that it's coming back to me, because I did see a bit of it, I did hear this beforehand before going live with this. Joe is trying to make an argument that because the officers didn't see the firearm on his hip while he was driving, that they should not have been in any sort of fear in the first place, and therefore should not have been treating him awfully as a result of the stop. But as Deacon notes, and while everybody else notes, yes, you are technically open carrying by having it on your hip, but that doesn't mean that the officers are able to actually see the firearm on you while you're still in your car. It's a lot more difficult. And yeah, maybe they're going to say it's concealed, but but concealed in a literal sense, not in the legal sense as in like concealed carry. That's where I think Joe is going towards. But ultimately, all this shit's irrelevant to the charges. They didn't charge him for concealed carry. I don't even know if that's a fucking law in New Hampshire. They didn't charge him with that. So it's irrelevant to the speeding ticket. It's irrelevant to the ticket of driving without a license.
During that stop, do you remember that?
I remember him going to the passenger side maybe once or twice, but I couldn't tell you specifically in the timeline when that occurred.
Do you think that a certified police officer should be able to be assessing a situation to the point where the person may have a firearm on them or not?
It's part of our training.
Do you think that was maybe inappropriate for the officer that day?
What was inappropriate?
To not discover it until I announced it. A firearm that was out visibly.
Again, fucking irrelevant. Fucking irrelevant.
Again, people can conceal weapons in their vehicles. That happens
What was I
often.
concealing though?
You were wearing the gun on your hip.
And it was out in open plain sight, right?
I don't want to make aspersions up towards his looks because God knows I'm a fat fuck. But Mr. Ortega, you're a bit heavyset. If you're wearing your firearm on your hip and you are in your car on the driver's side, especially when it comes to an officer coming to the driver's side, how the fuck are they going to automatically see your firearm when it can easily be hidden from immediate sight? He's triggering the fuck out of me with this line of questioning, and I know he's doing it because he's trying to get some dig at the officers because they treated him improperly, because God forbid they didn't see his fucking 22 on his hip while he's sitting in his car with his fat rolls probably hiding more of. Never mind. You know what?
I couldn't see it from my vantage point, no.
In the driver's side, but the passenger side, you would say, I know you can't speak for the other trainee, and I wish he was here today, but I'm just trying to make it clear. The amount of time that I spent in the back of the cruiser, what were you guys doing at that moment?
Driving to the courthouse?
No. When I was before we drove. You had placed me in the back of the seat.
Yes.
And then what were you guys discussing and going over at that point?
We were waiting for the tow truck to arrive to remove your vehicle, and then we brought you here to the courthouse.
How much time did you spend evaluating my firearm?
Several minutes, maybe, at the most.
Again, why would this line of questioning? How is this line of questioning irrelevant?
Did at any point to the barrel of that gun?
Your Honor, objection. Relevance.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
where are we going with the barrel?
I'm just assuming that it's not so much the care for my safety, and it was more so about the motions. So I was gonna ask another question too. It's regarding it.
I'll sustain the objection on this. You're starting to wander a little bit about the gun stuff.
Okay,
Unless you can
I'll
tell me-
move on.
Unless you can tell me what the relevance is, I'll sustain the objection.
It's less about safety.
I'll sustain the objection, thank you.
Finally.
How fast were we moving on the way back when you had me in custody in the back seat? Do you remember how fast the trainee was driving?
Approximately the speed limit?
You wouldn't say that he was also going 70 miles per hour at some moment in time?
No.
You wouldn't say that he was going above the speed limit and having to put on his brakes aggressively to avoid hitting someone in front of him, and that we had to tail the trainee had to tail the driver at a close distance, much like what police officers do on a daily. Did you say he did that?
If his driving was illegal or unsafe, I would have corrected him because I was a training officer on that day. So the things you're referring to did not happen.
Well, I think just make a record of that. It's not true. He was.
Don't be argumentative. This is not your time to testify, Mr. Ortega. So
70 miles per hour. I saw on the radar.
Hold on, let's go back to that.
The things you're referring to did not happen.
Well, I think just make a record of that. It's not true. He was going 70 miles per hour. I saw on the radar. I would love to pull the.
Do you have any questions for this gentleman?
Yeah. Let's see what else. you brought me to the window cuffed, and then I got my paperwork, and we went outside to the sidewalk. What happened when you brought me to the sidewalk after that moment?
We returned your property, including your firearm, to you.
Okay.
And we explained to you where your vehicle was towed to so you could retrieve it at a later time.
You aware what day it was relevant to my life? Do you recall what day it was?
I can tell you it was December 1st, but I don't know how that's relevant to you, sir.
Do you remember that it was my birthday?
I do not.
So he got a ticket on his birthday? Like, okay. So the fuck what?
Okay. Now you know, I guess. And I'm pretty much all set. I don't know what to say.
You don't have anything to clean up, do you, Mr. Dick?
No, Your Honor.
Thank
We're
you.
going to
You
let
can
this
step
go.
down, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
State rest.
State rest, Your Honor.
Mr. Hart, it's your opportunity to put on a defense if you'd like. You're under no obligation to prove anything. You're especially under no obligation to prove your innocence. But if you would like, this is your opportunity.
I'd like to call the training officer to the stand, please.
Again, good. I know you guys wanted to see if that was going to happen. This is actually a good move by Joa to call the training officer to the stand, which he should have. He should. But is he able to do anything about that can help him in his case? Let's find out.
You may. Just subpoena him or her.
I figured since he was the arresting officer.
Sounds like you did not subpoena.
I mean, I was not prepared.
Oh yeah, I forgot. He didn't subpoena the training officer.
Here today, as you were.
Do you have any other witnesses?
Not that I can think of right now.
Would you like to testify?
I mean, if it's going to help me.
Would you like to testify? Well, I mean, if it's gonna help me, that's for you to figure out, dude. Not for the judge. Not for the judge to tell you.
Your Honor, I was just going to save some time. My training officer is here, but I was not going to call him to stand there. And at this point, I figured
Training officer's here?
he's here.
This gentleman wants to call him.
Fantastic.
He may.
Have him come in.
Again, the DA is throwing him a bone. Another bone.
Or her come in.
Have him come in.
Undeserved, in my opinion, but it is what it is.
Can I quickly say something about this real quick? I'd like to have his testimony dismissed since he lied.
Oh, you've got a motion to dismiss
Motion to dismiss his testimony.
his testimony because he lied?
He did. He admitted it. He said one thing instead of another.
I'll deny that motion without hearing from the state. Thank you.
Nice try. Good job.
You may. Thank you. Before you sit down, would you raise your right hand, sir? Do you affirm the information you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalty of perjury?
I do, Your Honor.
Please be seated and state your name for the record and spell your last name.
I'm Deputy Andrew Skahan, S-K-A-H-A-N.
Your witness.
My first? Okay, this is the call, right?
It's your witness, asshole! Oh my god.
That's how it works.
Okay, just making sure. See, I'm not prepared. I need a public defender for this.
Well, it sounds like a fucking personal problem. Also, you're not entitled to a public defender. See, the thing is, he probably can get his own attorney, but he probably doesn't have the fucking money for that.
You've mentioned that.
How many times have you used radar before the day that you had pulled me over?
I don't have an exact number, but I have been working since 2019. So my best answer is numerous times.
Okay. Did I receive a ticket that day? Just for speeding?
You did not receive a ticket that day, but it was filed with the court along with.
When you had pulled me over, you went over to the passenger window, is that correct?
I did.
Did you look inside my vehicle while you had me pulled over for that moment?
I look in all vehicles to ensure that there's nothing that's going to harm me immediately.
And you looked at my person as well?
Again, he's going towards back to the gun thing, and I can't explain. I don't know why he's going here.
Over for that moment?
I look in all vehicles to ensure that there's nothing that's going to harm me immediately.
And you looked at my person as well?
I did.
And did you notice my firearm until you did?
Yeah, by the way, guys, he completely skips over the calibration part, which would be the relevant part of the testimony. He doesn't, I don't think he even goes into it.
When were you aware of my firearm?
It was not until you had told me that when I came up the second time.
And, okay, so I told you, but would you have clearly have seen it if I didn't tell you?
I did not see it when I came up on the passenger side.
In what manner was I carrying my firearm?
It was on your hip.
Okay. And was it open carry? Was it concealed carry?
When I officially saw it out of the vehicle, it was open.
Okay. And would you say that relatively if I was sitting, it would still be considered open carry, and like it would not be like concealed?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. I don't know what
On
this
the
has.
basis of relevance, what's the relevance of this?
I'm just trying to.
Again, relevance. He was never charged with concealed carry. He was never charged that. So what's the relevance about his firearm? What it has? I know I'm a repeating record. But I have to say, none of this has anything to do with him getting a speeding ticket and for a ticket for driving without a license.
Bring on his credibility in the instance, because like,
how is the officer treating you a certain way because they didn't immediately see that you had your firearm on your hip? A challenge to his credibility.
they manhandled me, or at least the other officer manhandled me because he wasn't aware that I was carrying a firearm, and I'm placing the blame on him because he didn't clearly.
What does that have to do with the initial stop?
Communicate to the.
Well, we've established you had a firearm, right?
Yes, but the demeanor of how they treated me creates bias.
You can ask some questions about that, but we've heard enough about you carrying a firearm.
Okay.
How is it bias when they had no idea you were armed before they stopped you? How is the way they're treating you about your firearm showing bias when they had no idea you were armed until you were stopped?
I'll sustain the objection.
It just seemed like they cared more about my firearm than anything else that day. Are you aware of the significance of the day for me on December 1st?
That it was your birthday?
You are aware of that?
I was aware of that.
Okay. That's good. I'm trying to think what else. I guess I'm all set.
Well, really? That's it? They gave you a ticket because it's your fucking birthday? That's the fucking present they gave you? Because it's your birthday? That's why they gave you a fucking ticket?
This gentleman?
Nothing. We're good, Your Honor.
Sir, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else, Mr. Hart? And again, I'm stressing, you don't have to, it's not your obligation for your license, but it's your opportunity if you'd like. You wanted the deputy on here, and
Yeah.
you got that.
I'm still wondering why my license was still suspended. I still
That has nothing to do with it.
haven't been able to figure this out.
My question is, would you like to testify or put on any further evidence?
I'll testify.
There you guys go. He gets to. He's gonna testify because, of course.
You don't have to. Would you like to?
I'd like to, because I think there's some things that need to be said.
Come on up. Do you affirm the information you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Please be seated, and even though we all know who you are, state your name And spell your last name for us, please.
Joseph Hart, H-A-R-T.
Mr. Hart, what is it you'd like me to know?
I'm still unaware of why I was suspended that day. I had previously paid for the ticket that originally I got in Henniker. I paid reinstatement fees twice that I have a record of in 2 states, New Hampshire and Rhode Island. And I thought I was clear. I did everything in good faith. And sure enough, I did not want suspensions. I did not. I was not properly notified for the original ticket. Therefore, the suspensions occurred. And when I thought I had it cleared, it just continued to be suspended. And on a daily basis, I check my license to make sure that I'm okay to drive. The first time I got arrested for my suspended license was on my.
Bear in mind that all of this is irrelevant because they dropped the charge for driving on a revoked or suspended license. All they charged was him driving without a license and for speeding. Everything that he's been saying for the last 30 seconds has been irrelevant.
Now ex-girlfriend's birthday. The second one was on my birthday. And it's very unusual. I'd like to know why, and this is, I'd like to say on the record, this is why I need a public defender, because I don't understand it. It's a lot of paperwork in the discovery that I just don't understand. There's some things in there that just have no relevance to the case. So I'm in a pickle,
Okay.
for lack of better words.
No, Your Honor. Gentlemen, dude, thank you. You can step down. Sir.
Thank you.
That's it. That's all he says. I forgot about that.
No, I'm also.
Hey, give me a moment to take a couple notes here.
It's like, what? I don't know why my license is still suspended, man. That's nothing to do with the trial. I think this might be it.
Mr. Hart, I'm entering a guilty finding
Oh, my bad. No, guilty. Yeah, guilty.
on the speeding complaint. That testimony was uncontroverted, and I found it to be credible. The operating while a valid license, I understand your frustration, or at least I appreciate your frustration with driving after revocation, but that charge is gone, and there's been nothing to contradict the evidence offered that you did not have a valid license on that day, so I'm entering a guilty finding on that violation as well. State of a recommendation on the fine for that?
On the license required, Your Honor?
Yes.
That'd be a fine of $50 plus a penalty assessment of $12.
I'll impose that fine and penalty assessment, sir. You're good to go to the window and square up.
Yeah, listen to this. Look at this fucking idiot. Joe has filed a motion informing the court that he does not intend to pay the fine and would accept a community service or jail instead.
Court's in recess. Thank you.
Which, of course, they're not going to accept because he's an idiot. So the grand total is, I believe, $92.
And there was much rejoicing.
Anyway, I'm going to go through the super chats. William Foley, thank you for the $10.
Rejoicing.
I was the prosecutor. I waive all charges and fines if the bailiff could tase Orca into submission. I mean, I feel like some people would actually would be willing to do that in lieu of paying a fine. Honestly, I think there are a lot of defendants who would probably just tase me and I don't have to pay a fine. I never have to check my license, Byron, because I know it's valid. Josh, Coaster, $2. Love the content art. Thank you for your effort. Appreciate it, man. And thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate it. Joshua Lee, $5. Didn't this guy just miss an opportunity to argue the validity of the radar reading and possibly winning the case? Yeah. He could have challenged the trainees certification of the radar because the certification papers were not admitted into evidence. And he didn't bother to ask about that because he's a moron. TNPR, PIR 4002, $5. Joshua Lee, screw Flanders, you know the rest. Have a good night, Wednesday night all. Thank you very much, man. Joshua Lee, another $10. Thank you very much for your support, Josh, tonight. I appreciate it. Feels like I'm wearing nothing at all. I don't even know what that means. Peter Katz, $9.99 super chat. Thank you very much for the $9.99. Already, I bought you a t-shirt. You are in no way fat. Okay, and Pat's Cats, $1.99 super chat. You are not fat. Look, all right, I'm being a little hyperbolic about my weight, but I have gained like 30 pounds in the last 2 years that I've noticed, so I hate it. And so that's why I know that I've actually joined the gym, but the problem is the gym hasn't even been finished construction yet. These fucking assholes. But I haven't been running, which I should have been doing. So I need to get my ass back into it, to be honest. And then Deacon, $20. Thank you very much. Okay, if I was wearing the shirt the same way he is now, it is possible that they wouldn't know he had it. Furthermore, when driving open carry and being stopped, you put your hands on the outside of the car and have your window down. I imagine that's probably a decent protocol, Deacon. At the bare minimum, you would tell the officer, hey, just to let you know, I have a firearm. It's either on my hip or it's in my glove box. At least inform the officers of that much. For God's sakes. Josh Lee, $10. A ticket on his birthday. Now serving pity party for one. For an appetizer, may I suggest a heaving plate of woe is me with a tall glass of Crimea River. Sounds delicious. Joshua Lee, $5. Seriously, like a little kid, but it's my birthday. Yeah, I don't know why he really harped on the birthday thing, unless he goes into this idea that the cops know who he is, they know his birthday, and they thought, let's go get this asshole on his birthday just to be extra mean. And then thank you, all of you, for the re-ups in membership is always appreciated. I noticed that I get the alerts for people who re-up their membership at 8 o'clock on the dot every day. So thank you guys again for your continuing support. And also, I just see that Akira 808 State, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. I was going to stop here, but I think there's actually a decent, short but decent video that that had just released that y'all posted on my Discord. By the way, check out my Discord to send me videos that you think I should take a look at. It's also where you'll find out more info on upcoming streams and upcoming topics that I'm going to be taking a look at. So please join my Discord if you can. I would love to see you guys there. So this one. This is from Cleveland Area Body Cam. Again, I have never seen this, so we're gonna end it here. Cleveland Area Body Cam, and the title is "I Love You, Baby" after running from the cops in a stolen car. So, all right, bet. Let's hope the sound starts working soon. There we go. Damn, this is heavy. Again, shout out to Cleveland area body cam for the footage.
Do not move. 839.
It's gonna take me a minute to get there.
I think that's the other cop you can barely hear at the back end. Is this the only, I guess, this is the only angle that we're gonna get? No body cam?
We're gonna wait for someone else to get here.
Copy, 840.
Chris, go ahead and take this other lane and shut it down. We'll order them out.
Don't get out yet.
Don't get out yet. Keep your hands up, for God's sake.
Get your hands out the window. Slowly step out. Face away from me. Keep your hands up.
He's got a... Oh, you guys can barely see it because in the chat. But he's got a fucking mask out. I'm gonna steal people's cars, but I'm still going to adhere to COVID restrictions.
Face away. Stop. Face away. Stop. Keep walking back. 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 Keep your hands on your head.
He's being proactive. Gotta draw the line somewhere fair.
And there was much rejoicing.
Radio 474 403, check out.
Yeah, I kind of wish we had body cam footage rather than just a dash cam. I feel like we're all spoiled now. Man, it was like up until like maybe 5, 6 years. Okay, so his girlfriend was in the car, and she's wearing Uggs.
Radio Macedonia, check up.
We're good, radio.
Copy.
Ah, there we go. Finally, some extra Angles. I can't tell if it's the lights or her hair is actually blue. I think it's the lights. Oh, my bad. I'm completely blocking y'all's angle. My bad. My bad. Here.
Four seven four eight.
474.
No, Jacob.
Hey, go ahead and call us at 31. Info's on scene.
$844.
Radio let North Royalton know, and then service at 31, please.
I think my partner's calling the 31. I just have to hit, just waiting for a response.
I love you. Hey, ask him if you go out of here! Hey, Mom! Mom!
Mom?
Mom!
Oh, ma'am.
Get out of here! Hey, Mom! Mom!
I keep hearing mom, but I think he's saying ma'am.
Mom! Hey, sir! Fuck, baby. Fuck.
And there was much rejoicing.
Interstate will be en route.
Hey, excuse me, sir. Ma'am, is there any way we can ride together?
No, absolutely not.
No.
Did he get your driver's license yet?
I didn't have one on me.
I mean, naturally.
17 radio.
417.
Female.
They're redacting the female's information there.
Do you have your driver's license on you?
I don't got it. I don't have an ID. Hey, excuse me, ma'am. Can you get my phone, please, for my girl? She's the one that had it.
No.
All right, well, let's try it this way. What's your social?
Yeah, I did notice that, Deacon.
What's your name?
Ryan Malone.
Radio 417-5115.
I'm sorry, ma'am. This happened.
Shouldn't have ran.
Go ahead.
Now you're sorry?
Now returns to Brenda Lee.
You let him on a chase?
In years. I would like to.
22 years old.
What?
Not valid.
In years.
Now returns to Brenda Lee.
I'm not gonna see her in years. I would like to.
22 years old. Not valid. Next and showing 15 on a Middleburg Heights out of the radius, but also showing a 15 for grand theft out of Cuyahoga County.
Oh, so he's got priors. He's got priors of Grand Theft Auto. Listen to dispatch going off of his record. Listen to dispatch.
15 on Middleburg Heights out of the radius, but also showing a 15 for grand theft out of Cuyahoga County.
Did you guys do that
That
one?
is within the radius. It shows another one out of Willoughby.
Okay. Just hold all that.
Copy.
421 radio.
Hey, you want to stop?
421.
I got a social here for the mail.
I think the girlfriend's an accessory. I think she's.
Radio 421, 5115.
Go ahead.
Ryan Malone out of North Royalton, 29 years old. Suspended, showing a 15 out of
Suspended license.
Middleburg Heights, with its entering agency only. And also showing a couple other 15s that he placed in Ohio.
They keep saying 15s. I don't have no idea what that is, to be honest, though. Could be drug related. I got no idea. That's right, Woodwork. I think you're right. What the dispatch was saying earlier. That was her record, not his. So she had a prior for Grand Theft Auto.
I copy.
The advice does have cautions for armed and dangerous and violent tendencies.
Oh. So now it's coming back for armed and dangerous and violent tendencies for this guy.
Radio 474.
I'm a fucking jackass.
Go ahead.
I'm a fucking jackass.
To be fair, I think I was like this when I was like, 11 and I got in trouble with my parents. But it was for like stupid shit, like getting in a fight or breaking something or like back talking or something. Not stealing a car as an adult.
Firm stolen.
Use the 31.
Interstate.
I think I'm okay with it ending like that. Just he's like, you already know what's gonna happen for the rest of the trip there. All right, guys. Oh, I'm gonna do this for the first time. I'm gonna finally do this. Hold on. Thank you guys for watching, as always. Natalie! Natalie hasn't opened up her damn thanks for redirects. I was going to redirect you guys to Natalie since she's currently live right now, but I appreciate you guys coming in to watch. Oh, let me go do the super chats real quick. The last one's left. Tones $5. Was Joe auditioning for the Big Lebowski remake after this trial? Probably. I mean, I think that's his aesthetic. Deacon $2. This is why you have female officers on scene. Also, yes. definitely makes things a lot more easier and clear cut and clean when apprehending female suspects. And Deacon, $5. This is the first and last time I'll say this. You are not Bonnie and Clyde, and that is a horrible way to set a relationship. Agreed. But all right, guys, go check out Natalie. Tell her I sent you, and I'll probably drop in and say hi to her myself. Thank you guys again for watching. It's always appreciated. Hit that like button on your way out, and yeah, guys, thank you. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Hell, right in the kisser.
Ha 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 ha.
Sophia, best girl. Life and material. 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 Do I look like a cam girl to you? I need this for drugs.